Hey everyone, welcome back to the Centered Leader Podcast. Our goal here is to help you live a life as a leader centered on Christ. And so I'm joined with Shane Seegers, our spiritual formation pastor. My name is Kurt Corcoran. I am the Connect Group pastor here, and we are glad that you're either watching or listening. Top of the morning to you, or good evening to you, or hope that you're having a great run, or hope that you're having a great coffee, or a commute to work, whatever you're doing. Yeah, whatever you're doing, sitting by the pool, sitting by the beach, that would be nice, right? Wherever you're listening from, thank you for listening. Today's topic is rhythms, but Shane, recap a little bit before we get into that kind of the conversations that we've had.
Well, the first couple of topics we've discussed are, fulfilling the Great Commission, making disciples. And we talked about the three biggest excuses why people do not feel that they're either equipped or able to do that. And the first is, I'm not good enough. So we reminded people it's never been about your goodness. It's about Christ's goodness. And that's where gospel identity comes in. We're sharing a message about what God has done for us and who he's made us to be. Yeah. And so we looked at how you can realize that you're qualified because of your gospel identity. Then we talked about, I don't know enough. Because a lot of people feel discipleship is all about how much information I know, how much I can teach, how much of the Bible do I know. And it's really about how faithful are you with the truth that you've been given. Yes. And what we call the Spirit-empowered living pathway. How do you depend upon God's Spirit to produce this life in and through you? Because again, it's not what you do for God, it's what he does in and through you. So we talked about that to help people with, I don't know enough. Well, you know him and you can trust him and you help other people in that way. Today we're going to talk about the third excuse is I don't have enough time. Ooh. Yeah. And so, hey, surprise, we all only have 24 hours a day. We all have the same amount of time. And so the issue is really not, is how am I more intentional with my time? And, one of the things we talk about here at Centerpoint a lot is one of our catchphrases, it's all about relationship. Yes. And so, obviously our relationship with God, our relationship with others, and even our relationship with those who don't know Jesus. Yes. And relationships are not just an activity that you do here. It's an ongoing interaction with each other. And that's why we use the word rhythms. Relational rhythms, things that you do over and over with intentionality that help you do two things, to create time and proximity with other people. Because it's hard to have a relationship if you don't spend any time with them. Yeah. And it's hard to have a relationship if you're at a great distance. Yes. The most influential and relationships are going to be the ones that you have both time and proximity with. Again, I'm not saying you can't have long distance relationships or there's relationships that you don't spend as much time with each other anymore because of seasons of life. But, we're shaped by the people that we spend time with. Yes. And if you're going to have that kind of influence on someone, you need to be able to develop these relational patterns that allow you to not just have a touch and then be gone forever, but continual time together. Yeah. No, I'm excited about this one. And before we get into it, and you can take your time answering this, maybe if you don't have an answer now, but out of the three kind of excuses, what do you think is the biggest or most prevalent right now in society for maybe believers or Christians or Christian leaders even? What would be the excuse? I think it's that's kind of hard to pinpoint, I guess, but but for you, what do you see? The thing about an excuse is, you get to pull it when you want to use it. Yeah, and exactly. I don't mean that in a bad way. So, an excuse is a reason why I don't want to do something or can't do something. And so I find that people use all of them pretty interchangeably. I will say that the availability of people, which is what we're talking about today with rhythms, how you use your time intentionally, is really hard because everybody's busy. Yes. I'll always ask people when they join the church, how many of you are busy or whatever? And, one or two people are, and I say, oh, well, I've got a bunch of people who feel comfortable lying because I know we're all busy. Yes. And this, again, is about priorities and how we decide to use our time. But one of the challenges, the reason why it's such a challenge is because we're thinking when we're talking about time, I have to add more of this to my life. Yes. I have to put more time to this, and I don't have enough time to give that. And that's one way you can look at it. But honestly, if we do that, then you have to look at what things you're going to stop doing to add more things to your life. And that's hard because people have already made commitments, or these are things that are important to them. And that's right. But what we want to challenge people to do is, okay, we only have 24 hours. How can I be more intentional about everything that I'm doing?
Yeah.
So hopefully this will be not something that people feel condemned. Oh gosh, you're talking about time and I'm not very good at managing my time. We all struggle with that. I hope this is helpful and encouraging for you. It's, hey, how can you just be more intentional with your time and what you're doing?
Yeah. And it doesn't have to happen all overnight. I think some people are like, I have to totally change my whole schedule and then they just burn out because it's not sustainable. But figure out one or two things, and I know we're going to talk about, you know.
And that's what a relationship allows us to do. It allows us to continue to have more and more interaction with each other. So I don't feel the weight or the pressure to address everything or fix everything in just one encounter. I get to do a lot of interactions with people over time, and consistency is really the key.
Yes.
I saw something the other day where it's like, I'm getting it wrong, but it was, just pouring water on a rock just causes it to rock or just to wash off.
Yeah.
And that was about intensity. You take this whole bucket of water and you dump it on, and if you are intense in one moment, not a whole lot. But if you take that same water and just have a slow drip for continual, it'll eventually wear a hole all the way through.
Yeah.
And that's about consistency.
Yep.
And I think that's a real important thing for us to learn about. The consistency of our relationships and time will have the maximum impact.
Yeah. No, I think that's incredible to even think about and consider in our own lives too, the consistency, right? And it matters. It matters not only in our families, but in our leadership and what are we known for. And yes, we fail at times, and there's going to be failures, but not be known for those, but to continually live in a consistent pattern of glorifying God and leading that way.
Yeah, and that's why, at Centerpoint, we want to make sure people realize it's not just about attending meetings like I go to church. It's you are the church. And so this is really about how you live, not just on Sundays, but throughout your whole life. We don't believe in that sacred and secular split.
Yeah.
If you're a child of God, the Spirit of God lives within you. Everything you do has sacred value and worth. So, we just want people to take advantage of wherever they are at all times, because the presence of God is in you and with you, and you're living for His glory.
Yeah, absolutely. So what are the rhythms? I'm curious.
Okay. Yeah, well, we have 7 rhythms. And again, I've made a handy-dandy little chart here or list. But there's 7 rhythms, and I'll kind of break it down how I go with most people. And a rhythm, again, is something that you do over and over again. It's not just a one-time event. And so in our life, there are 7 rhythms that we believe people have. The first one is worship. Weekly we get together to worship together corporately as a church, but also daily. Worship is not just an event you go to, it's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
And we want to encourage people to worship Him daily, because that's where we see God, that's where we meet with Him, that's where He transforms us. So, again, what examples of this, you go to corporate worship, you can invite people to come to a worship service with you, but also you have daily time of worship with God.
Yeah.
The second rhythm is a group. Generally in church, when it comes down to making disciples, we usually look at, there's 2 things that someone does. They attend a worship service and they go to a small group of some kind, whether it's a Sunday school class, a connect group or life group, whatever they call it, or some kind of discipleship group. But that's generally, so you see I drew this little dotted line there, because that's generally the 2 rhythms that people think about when I'm going to make a difference or fulfill the Great Commission. And so they're always saying, well, how can I go to church more often, which we don't talk about that way because you are the church, or how can I do more in my group? And that leads.
And even just quickly, the group and the worship because we've made the excuse, well, I don't have enough time, or I'm always so busy. the church in general has gone to the Sunday school method, which has worked for a while, and has, there's still churches that do Sunday school, but it's because you can do both in one day and then check it off the list, and it's more.
And when you're trying just to fit something in your life, usually what happens is you go down to the least, I don't know how to say this, but for instance, instead of a transformative experience, it becomes an informative experience, because that's what I can do in a certain amount of time. I can just give you certain information. I can give you a lesson. I can give you a handout. I can write an email. When time becomes hard, I can give you the information. And sometimes that's what happens with these. But what we want to understand is the rhythms allow us to do three things. They allow us to gather together.
Yeah.
They allow us to grow together. And they even allow us to go together. And so we'll see that those first two rhythms are things generally people rely upon. And so here's an example of, again, the group. People do a Sunday school class or a small group, or they might have an accountability partner or something to meet. But again, I drew a line because that's usually what most people think of when it comes to how I'm going to make a disciple. I rely upon those two things. However, what percentage of people who attend church do you think, or in our community, let's say the percentage of people in our community do the first one? What percentage of people go to a worship service in Prattville, Alabama on a Sunday morning?
I would say 50 to 60. Would you
Dude,
say?
It's 40. It's
40?
about 40%. Yeah. Now, there are probably a lot of people say, I have a church where, but I'm talking about making it a rhythm, consistently going. About 40% of people.
And what is considered regular attendance now? Is it once a month?
It's about once a month.
Which is crazy. That's like, you go to the movies more than that sometimes.
Right. And so, again, it's not a very consistent thing. Now, they'd say I'm a part of that church, but now if you take the second one, how many people consistently go to a worship service and a small group? What percentage are you thinking of?
I don't know.
Well, it's less than 40%.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. We've been challenged and called to make disciples of all people.
Yeah.
Not just the ones who are willing to come to our meetings.
Yep.
So if only 40% of people are willing to do these first two, that means 60% of people are not being exposed to gospel ministry, to disciple making activities, because they're not attending one of our meetings. And in Prattville, it's not because they don't know who Jesus is or what a church is.
Yeah.
Yep. So what we've also looked at is that there are these next 5 rhythms. So there's 7 total rhythms, but the next 5 are not just things that church people do. These are things that everybody does.
Yes.
So I'll go real quickly over this. So the third rhythm is converse, have conversations. Do you know everybody talks to each other? It doesn't just have to be a sermon, but we can share God's truth through conversations. That's why Paul told the people in Colossae when he wrote to them, hey, let your conversation be seasoned with salt and grace. He was saying, hey, pray for me as I present the gospel the way I should. But he said, for you, make the most of every opportunity, and let your conversations, because you don't have to carry the freight in just one message. You get to have ongoing conversations. So that's even why in Connect groups, we don't just do lectures or studies. We want to have small group discussion.
Yeah. Actual conversations where people can share life and share what they're learning, what God's teaching them, how they're being obedient to that.
Because you get to hear really what's going on in their life. If it's just presentation, how do I know what you need?
Yeah.
If I'm talking about something you don't agree with, it, you might not feel comfortable saying that.
Yeah. Shut up and listen.
Yeah. Or if you say something and it's not quite, we have people in our group that are all different places in their relationship with God. Some of them are more mature than others. Some of them are new to the faith. Some of them just don't know.
Yeah.
And, we don't want to jump on and go, how dare you think that?
Yeah.
That gives us an opportunity to hear where they are so we can begin to work more intentionally with them.
Yeah. So practical.
So the fourth rhythm is eat.
That's one of my favorites.
Yeah. Even the church, In Acts, it described, people that, they devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching, to worship and praying, and to eating meals
Yeah.
together daily in each other's homes. And so that daily thing, we're not saying you have to do every single one of these all the time with everybody, but it's that consistency that we're looking for. And again, if people are busy, but everyone has to take time out to eat at some point.
Yes. Yep.
So I'm not saying you have to eat every meal with someone, but, an average person, let's say, eats 3 meals a day.
Yep.
And snacks. So there's a little bit more, but let's say there's 21 meals. What would happen if someone was just intentional and said, I'm going to take 2 meals and invest that with somebody?
Yes.
I'm going to grab lunch with someone. I'm going to get breakfast with someone. I'm going to have this family over for dinner.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think of the impact that could happen. That's where we get the word companion from. A friend is someone, companion is with bread. That's who you break bread with. That's where it even comes from.
Yeah.
So there's a great power in eating together.
No, and something that me and my wife, Sarah, we've made a commitment obviously we're new here, and that's another reason why we're doing it, but we've made a commitment to at least have somebody over at least once a month.
Yeah.
We're trying to do twice a month. Our goal at first was once a week, but that is sometimes in different seasons with 2 little kids, that's unmanageable. But the bottom line is once a month.
Yeah. And again, that could be something where you're inviting a whole person over to your family. Mm-hmm. But again, it doesn't have to always be even that much. It can be, hey, we're going, like I even asked you today, hey, what are you doing for lunch? Let's go grab lunch together, because that gives us an opportunity to talk more and to find out what's going on. And even if you read the Gospels, I mean, one of the things about Jesus is notice how much ministry he did around the meals, food, and tables. So it's just a great environment. People just feel more relaxed, and it's a great environment. So we have conversations, we eat. The 5th one is we serve. Everybody has needs.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter if I'm meeting one of your needs, or here's something that's hard for us to do sometimes, is allow someone to meet one of our needs.
Yeah.
But it's a great way to get together with somebody, especially for men. There's just something about doing something together.
Yes.
I mean, even if you have a cookout or whatever and someone's grilling, there's going to be 3 guys. Even one guy's grilling, there's going to be 3 of them around him.
Yeah.
Because it's easier for us to interact with each other when we're doing stuff as opposed to just sitting around talking.
Yeah.
But again, when someone has a need, you're able to meet it, be there, and there's going to be conversations. And sometimes people might even ask, why are you doing this? Which then opens the door for us even to talk more about who Christ is.
That's honestly within the church and even outside of the church, serving together or a common goal together has probably been one of the key influences in relationships for me throughout my life. Yeah. Either going and doing something together with a common goal and purpose, and serving outside of, this has no personal gain for me. I'm doing this for somebody else, or I'm doing this for God ultimately. And it's through those moments that you laugh together, that you create those funny stories together, that you create those hey, we're trying to fit a mattress in an elevator together. Me and Shane have some interesting stories about that, but you create those memories, and you're able to talk about that, and it builds relationships and builds bonds way beyond than just saying, hey, how are you? Oh, good.
Because you're also teaching or demonstrating or showing not just what you know, but how you do things, how you interact with people. This is why mission trips are so important, why we want people to go on mission trips, why we want our connect groups serving together once a term, doing a project together, not just for the impact that it makes in the community, but what it builds within the group, and how you can model and demonstrate, hey, how do I deal with stuff when things are difficult or when things don't go according to plan? All of this is a part of life.
Yeah.
A 6th rhythm is celebrate. And those can be formal celebrations like birthdays, weddings, retirements, all, graduations, or just informal. Hey, we just want to get together. We're enjoying what's going on in life. We just want to celebrate, have a good time. And again, that's something that Jesus did. Had meals and parties that people went to. He went to weddings. But this is a great way of, because you're going to go to those things. Well, invite people to go with you.
Yeah.
Or if it's not too formal of an event,
Yeah.
you're not crashing someone's party, but
wedding crashers.
yeah. But again, it's an opportunity for you to spend time with people intentionally and have conversations, because you never know what's going to come up in that time. But I do find it's in those interactions when I really begin to find out what's going on with people and what their needs are.
Oh yeah.
So
no, what song comes to mind when you think of Celebrate? Celebrate,
yeah, Cool in the Gang.
Come on. I don't even see who it's by. Yeah. I don't.
1982. I can remember. All right.
That's the difference there. Hold on. Even I was celebrating. Just a practical tip for Connect group leaders. Something that Sarah did, because I'm not this creative nor thoughtful, but one of our Connect group attendees, their son, it was their birthday the day that or the day before they came over for Connect group, and so Sarah just went to the store and bought, and it doesn't have to be a bunch of money. Like, you can go to the Dollar Tree, buy a balloon, buy a card, buy a little toy, or whatever. Make it you can make stuff special on a budget and stuff, but had that waiting for the kids, so when they got there to Connect group, it was special, and we celebrated and sang happy birthday.
Yes, and it can be little things. It can just be even attention. It doesn't even have to be a lot of stuff, because it's the same thing with conversations. If I'm spending more time talking about me, you're less engaged.
Yeah.
One of the things we want to do in conversations is ask questions. How are you doing? We become unusually interested in the other person.
Yeah.
And celebration is the same thing. We just become focused on this person, and who doesn't want that to be a case? And when I do that, when I celebrate people, they become more open to us.
Yeah.
And so it's just a way, again, to lower defenses, allow people closer into your life, because it shows you care about them.
Yes.
We're not just trying to manipulate. None of these things are manipulative tools. They're things that allow us to build healthy relationships and to show that we care about people.
And you just brought up a good point, because I think when you start doing some of these things, a lot of people who have been hurt by relationships, they almost like flinch, or they almost like trying to cower away when you are actually kind to them and actually ask them questions, because like, oh, this is fake. Yeah. But consistency,
that's exactly right.
They realize, okay, wow, this is actually who this person is.
And that's why it's so important. You don't just do it one time.
Yeah.
It has to be consistent. And this is why we want people to open their lives. And we say it's all about relationships. It's not just about events. We want people to be transformed.
Yeah.
And that's going to happen, again, through proximity and time. And so these are great ways to do that. And then the last one is recreate. Everyone has hobbies. Everyone has things that they enjoy doing that helps them relax, refresh, get reinvigorated.
Yes.
It's not just always about go, go, go. And sometimes you can think about these rhythms as, oh, I got to do. But some of it is just you do it, and it's the thing that actually builds you up, gives you more life.
Yeah.
And again, this can be activities that you enjoy doing, like hunting. There's a lot of people like to hunt or work out, or my mom loves to sew, so her groups are around sewing and quilting and things like that. So whatever you enjoy doing. Pickleball, that's great.
Golf.
Yeah.
Golf, you can converse, eat, celebrate, and recreate.
Yeah, I'll give you an example. Like in my Connect group, I look like a rugged outdoorsman. I know it comes across like I'm just that, that is not the case. But everybody in my Connect group, I mean, they like to hunt and fish and stuff. And so a great way for me was to go and sit out in a tree stand with these guys, or a shooting house or whatever. I got 4 hours to just go and hang out with them that I would never get. Otherwise, hey, come study the Bible with me for 4 hours. It's like, I know that's real appealing for most of you, but the fact is that nobody has that kind of time. But what kind of great relationships are built, questions raised, topics discussed, everything from what they feel and think about God, what's going on with their children. It just gives you that space and opportunity to do that. So a key thing to all of these is, just don't do things alone.
Yes.
Now, I'm not saying you have to be with someone all the time. That's not what we're talking about.
No.
I'm just saying be intentional. Like I said, you're going to eat 21 meals. What happens if you took 1 or 2 this week and were intentional I'm going to invest that time with someone else while we
Yeah.
eat. I'm going to go fishing instead of just going out by myself. I'm going to take somebody with me.
Yeah.
You know, I have a project that needs to be done at my house. I can do it, or I can ask someone to come do it with me, or I can find out, hey, they have a project. Hey, you want me to come help?
Yeah.
You know, these are all great ways to spend time with someone that allows you to continue to be an influence for Christ.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I don't think any of those are overbearing.
No. And again, we're not saying the intensity. Do
No.
them all
Yeah.
at once. We're talking about consistency,
Yep.
being intentional. Because as I'm doing these things, it's giving me more time with people, and
Yeah.
I'm closer together. And ultimately what's happening is you're not just forcing stuff on them. Who you are is coming out.
Yep.
And it's true that, sociologists say that you are really a composite of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Yep.
They influence you in all kinds of ways.
Oh, yeah.
And so if we want people to become more like Christ, then we should get them spending more time
Yeah.
with people who are making Christ the center of their life in all things they do. Notice
Yes.
we're not just talking about, this is how I am in my group, and this is how I am when I attend worship. No, we want you to realize that in every conversation you have, you're a representative of Christ.
Yep.
In every activity you do it all for the glory of God,
Yeah.
is what Scripture says. So there's great power in these rhythms.
Yeah.
And you don't have to force them to get a result right then.
No.
Just be consistent and be faithful.
Yeah. And in reality, all these things are probably already happening in your life.
Yeah.
You just maybe have not been super, not aware, but maybe just haven't put it to a list and oh, these are things that I'm already doing.
Right.
It's not not adding on. If you're a leader and if you're leading a connect group, or maybe you're watching this and you attend a connect group, you're doing majority of these things.
Yeah. And again, these are relational rhythms. We talk about developing your relationship with God, with others, and to make disciples. So these are things that you can do with your connect group members.
Yes.
These are things that you can do personally in your relationship with God.
Yeah.
I have conversations with God. I talk with God. I read His Word.
Yep.
I try and serve. But there are also things that you can do for people who are far away from God, who don't know Him. And it's not anything. It's just normal things that you're already doing.
Yeah.
I guess that would be the last thing I'd say when it comes to making disciples. God calls us to do it, and we think it's such a hard, difficult thing. It is the most natural thing in the world.
Yep.
You know how to do these things.
Yeah.
You can make disciples by just doing those things and being intentional about your relationship with God as you go about doing them.
Yeah. Yeah. Obviously you look at the greatest example, Jesus, and he spent time with his disciples.
Oh, yeah.
They did things together. They ate together. The
Yeah.
list goes on.
They went to celebrations together. Yep. They ate meals together. They served people.
Yep.
They worshiped together.
Yeah.
They even relaxed together.
Yes.
There's times where the ministry was so hard. Jesus said, hey, let's go pull back. Let's go.
Yeah.
They went on a little retreat, a little camping trip, so to speak, just to recover.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I'm sure there was some fun in there.
Yeah.
If they had relationship, they had to laugh together. They had to be able to laugh together.
Have you read the Bible?
Yeah.
Goodness gracious. It's easy to make fun of it.
Oh, yeah.
And I see myself in all of them, so I make fun of myself all the time. But
yes.
There'd be a lot of fun and laughing, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Well, anything, closing statements?
I would say, if you want to know more about rhythms, you can always talk to Kurt or myself.
Mm-hmm.
We just want to help you to be effective. But it's not just about, I'm accomplishing a goal. I promise you, if you're intentional doing these things, you're going to have a lot more joy in your life.
Yes.
Paul says that my reason for joy and what's going to bring him joy in heaven is all the people that are there that he's invested in. That's his treasure. It's yours too. You're going to find joy in investing in people and seeing God at work in their life. And the results aren't dependent upon you. You're just a vessel that God works through.
Yeah.
But you're going to have a lot more opportunities to be worked through if you're spending time intentionally with people.
Yeah, absolutely. So good. So practical, so needed. If you want these more explained to, we also have these in the leader guide, the Connect Group leader guide. So majority of you have a copy of that. If you would like a digital version of that or just want to review that, please let me know. I can send that to you. So you can literally, each one of these relational rhythms are typed out, kind of the practical side of them and even scripture tied to them.
Scripture, examples.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we have all that available to you as well. But once again, thank you for listening. Hopefully your run is over, or if you're not running, hopefully you don't have to run. And hopefully you have a great day. Or
Are you saying that
evening.
People have to run as long as we talk? I can't do that.
Right.
That would be awful.
Yeah.
Take a walk in there.
That should be the challenge for the next episode. All right, on this episode, you're going to take off running for as long as we talk, and just talk and then just loop the conversation for an hour. No. All right. Hey, thank you for listening to the Center Leader Podcast. We hope that you have a great day, and we will see you on the next episode.
See ya.